Welcome back to Corporate Corridor. For those of you just joining us, we're talking about the pre-budget discussion and what is being expected of this upcoming budget for the financial year 2010. Now, before we went to a break, we spoke about the equity market scenario of the country in the previous year and how the industrial sector of our country has been performing. We're joined today by Mr. Sultan Chawla, the President of the Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Mr. Umair Beg Chughtai, AVP at BMA Capital, and he'll be talking to us about the financial sector of Pakistan and what is being expected. Now, Mr. Sultan, before going on to a break, you were mentioning the problems which the industry faced this particular year. Interest rates have been high, we've seen that. Inflation has been high, and there's been a course of problems all throughout the year, electricity being one of them. Now, these are problems which haven't really popped up in this particular year. These have been problems which have been there in Pakistan throughout. Now, as far as budget proposals are concerned, what is the industrial base of this country asking the government this time around?
You see, the first and foremost is that there should be some support which must be provided to the industrial sector, and especially the industries which are export oriented, because that is one sector which answers the foreign exchange that is required for other activities. We feel that our export segment of the economy is not being supported by the government as much as the governments of the countries which are in direct competition with us.
True.
For example, take for example China. China provides a certain kind of 18 to 20% of support to their export industry. On the contrary, in Pakistan, we were providing a different mechanism whereby we were supporting the industry to the level of only 0.9% of their export value as a kind of rebate. Now, that's not sufficient. That's hurting the industry. What we suggest is that there should not be any taxes on export-oriented industry, because at the end of the day, we export goods and services. We do not export taxes. So the taxes should not be part of our cost structure. Rather, it should be excluded from that. So there is something which is called zero rating. We want a real zero rating of our textile industry, which is all export oriented. So that is one recommendation which we have come forward very strongly, and we believe that is the minimum, that is what is needed.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong though, Mr. Sultan, but this proposal of zero rating has been there in previous budgets as well. Why is it that the government haven't paid any heed to it?
They have, but somehow or the other, it somehow comes back from back doors. They have excluded certain industries, but there are certain industries which are not only export oriented, they have certain domestic segments as well. That must be predetermined, and then the proportion should be decided, and no tax under one pretext or the other should be levied. There was a proposal that there should be tax first and then there should be a refund which should be given, which has proved in the past that we collected maybe 20 billion by way of taxes and ended up paying up 40 billion because of the corruption factor, because of the lack of statistics available with the government, and with the kind of culture that we have unfortunately got here. So what we want, we should not have any tax in the first instance, which could be refunded later on. There should be no tax, because at times very expensive money is blocked with the government
in the case of the taxes.
All right. The second proposal is that we should have a zero rate of duty on new machinery and new plants. It should be the output which should be taxed. It should not be the sources or the machinery which is used to produce the output. So zero rate of duty.
And this is for industries overall?
Across the board. We must try to encourage creation of jobs as much as we can, because at the end of the day, it is the money which is earned by those people who are employed should be taxed and who should provide the revenues that the government needs.
And also give some stimulus to the economy. We'll continue talking about that as well. Now, Umair, we've spoken about the market. The market has had a tough year this particular year. Now, inflation has been a problem for the country as well. We've seen our GDP growth rates being revised about 3 times now. The latest one coming in that they're saying that the GDP growth rate will stand around about 2.1%. Now, looking at overall scenario, we've seen oil prices coming down. Inflation rate is also coming down. So in this upcoming budget, since the clarification has now come in that the equity market won't be taxed, how are you looking at things developing from there on in?
Well, for the equity markets, I mean, the equity markets are very undervalued currently. And I think an important factor here for a sustained rally will also be the decline in interest rates. And as your inflation is coming off, CPI is currently sitting at about 17%. We're thinking that by CY09 you should be down to about 10, 11%, 7% next year by the end of next fiscal. And these are interest rates that these are obviously interest rates that I'm talking about. And then CPI should also be in the single digits by the end of first quarter fiscal 10. And so historically, if you look at our CPI, I mean, I think inflation has been about 8 to 9%. That's what's been sustainable. So as inflation keeps coming off, and I think the government has been successful in managing that, as interest rates keep trailing that and keep coming off, obviously your equity markets will re-rate because your valuations will re-rate upward. Also,
and how is the international perception of Pakistan right now? Now, Pakistan has started its war on terrorists operating inside Pakistan. We're seeing results, positive results of that coming out. So, and as the operation goes further, are we expecting sentiments on the foreign front would improve?
Oh, absolutely. I think a swift resolution to the conflict that we are currently involved in and engaged in will be very positive to our equity markets and to the sentiment in the equity markets. Not just that, but I think it'll also be a big push for FDI. FDI, which last couple of years was averaging 5.6, 5.7 billion, is currently sitting about 3.3, 3.5, and I think 4.5 is really a good sustainable level. That's really what we need to get back to.
Absolutely, remittance is also improving. We've been included in the MSCI. We'll continue talking about all of that as well right after this very short break. So do stay with us.